I saw this story on Real Sports with Brian Gumble, and I forgot about it with Brian Banks. And Brian Banks, by all accounts, was going to be a great college player, going to USC, play for Pete Carroll, and would probably be in the NFL right now. Well, he's in the NFL right now. He just took a little bit of a detour. He went to prison for a crime that he did not commit. The woman recanted her story on camera, but he went to prison. And what really struck me as I'm watching him being interviewed is I'm listening to his voice. It wasn't his face, it was his voice. And I don't know if I could have been that calm because they actually set up a sting where they catch this woman lying and saying that she made these charges up. And Brian, who is getting a chance with the Atlanta Falcons, he joins us now. Brian, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Am I reading too much into it? Your voice seemed very calm when you're talking about a woman who sent you to prison.
Yeah.
You weren't angry?
No. I wouldn't say I was angry to a point that it would reflect in my mannerism, but I mean definitely disappointed and frustrated and angry in regards to what had took place in my life. But you know, in regards to me sitting down and actually face to face speaking to her, it was an opportunity for me to possibly shed light on the situation that could have a result in me getting my freedom back. So instead of panicking or reacting in a way that would ruin that opportunity, I had to actually calm myself down and just be presentable and hope for the best. And that's just me in general in life. Just, you know, I feel like whatever you put out in life is what you receive.
But here you are, a 16-year-old junior, verbally commit to USC. And then what happens? How do you end up in prison?
Yeah. You know, I decided to venture off into an area on campus that's known as a makeout spot with a girl that I've known for a few years. We made out. We didn't have sex. But by the end of that day, I was being arrested and accused of raping her.
Okay, when police show up and they say what you're charged with, your reaction was what?
Oh, you know, 16 years old, I really didn't even understand the concept of what the arrest was. To be told that I was being taken into custody for kidnap and rape, it made no sense to me. I was confused. I was scared. You know, I wanted my mom. You know, it was one of those situations where, you know, I was clueless as to what was actually going on.
But you go to prison at that age. Yeah, what is prison like at that age?
Yeah, it's a completely different world. It's almost it's in some ways hard to explain the effect that it has on you mentally as well as emotionally. But it was a situation where I had to grow up in one day. I had to go from being a 16-year-old boy to a grown man, and learn the ropes very quickly.
What was the toughest part to get adjusted to when you're in prison?
The toughest part to get adjusted to, I would say, was just the sentence of 5 years of having to serve 5 years and 2 months behind bars, away from my mother, away from my freedom, away from football, and also just, you know, not having that sense of being protected by your mother. Not having someone there to put their arm around you and tell you it's going to be okay. Not being able to cry and express yourself in the way you really feel because you don't want other people to see your weakness. Just having to adapt to a world that I knew nothing about. You know, it was very hard.
I know that nobody wants to go to prison. People have talked about trying to get something beneficial out of prison. What do you take out of prison that you put into everyday life or that can help you with this opportunity with the Falcons?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm sure you heard before, one day I woke up in prison in a cell and realized that it was either better myself as a person and be better than the situation or fall victim to it. So for me, I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be greater than I was, and greater than the situation, and greater than the labels that were put against me. So I spent my time reading and studying. I got into psychology and sociology, Afrocentric studies. I got into different religious texts. And I just wanted to have an understanding of life, of myself, my surroundings. I wanted to be better. You know, I worked on my penmanship, and I read the dictionary and the thesaurus to learn new words, and I worked on the way I spoke as a person. You know, I didn't want this one situation to be the defining factor of the rest of my life.
As far as developing football skills when you're behind bars, you're ready to go to USC, you verbally commit, but trying to simulate what college football and or the pros is going to be like if you're getting out. How did you do that?
I really didn't. To be honest, I had really no clue of the expectations of the National Football League. I mean, I knew that it was a high intense, tough arena, and I knew you had to be in shape, and you had to be physically capable of doing the performing the requirements that they have.
Did they have a prison team there?
No. They wouldn't allow that in California state prisons. It went as far as flag football, but I mean, no one really pulled flags. It was kind of tackle without pads. It was pretty physical, I mean, we had a lot of fun, but it was a way to get that aggression off. So I didn't really, people have to keep in mind that I served 5 years and 2 months. I paroled in August 29th, 2007. I was 22 years old when I came home. I still had another 5 years on parole with the GPS on my ankle. So at that time that I paroled from prison, the last thing on my mind was trying to make it into the NFL. It was more of just trying to get out of prison and still be healthy mentally as well as physically.
How concerned are you that this is publicity for the Atlanta Falcons to bring you in? That Pete Carroll did give you a chance, didn't work out, now the Falcons are bringing you in.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. I had the opportunity of trying out for the Atlanta Falcons at the beginning of the 2012 season that just ended. It was about 2 weeks before the season actually started. They had already made their first cuts from the 90-man roster. They brought me in for a tryout, and after the tryout, the GM Dimitroff and Coach Smith sat me down and looked me in the eyes and said, "You know what? We're going to be honest with you. You actually look better than some of the guys that we have in camp. The problem is we don't have enough time to get you acclimated to the system, to our playbook, to our defensive schemes. It's going to take well over a couple weeks to get you ready. So we just don't think it's a good time for you to come in right now." And they went on to have an amazing season. We didn't have any communication at all, but they did say that they're very interested and wanted to, at some point, get back into and seeing that this is a possibility, and they held to their word and brought me back in. But I understand bringing me back in now, it gives me an opportunity to get with the team and work with the team all off season so that I can be well prepared come camp.
If you didn't go to prison, you played the what if.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think you'd be, Brian?
If I didn't go to prison and I played the what if, I would have signed a contract with the USC Trojans. I went and played collegiate football. I suspect I would have did very well. Signed to a team within the NFL, and I think I'd be having an amazing career right now. I put it this way: I know that I'm not in Atlanta for nothing. I know they didn't bring me in for nothing. For me physically to be able to perform at this level and at this point so far receive a contract with the Atlanta Falcons, it speaks a lot about my physical ability as well as my mental ability. So I can only imagine where I would be if this never happened. But at the same time, mentally and spiritually where I'd be, I don't think it would be on a level as where I am today. My experiences and what I've gone through is why I am who I am today.
And you can hear that. You can hear that in your voice. How do you repay your mom?
Whatever she wants. Whatever she wants, she gets it.
No, she seemed like a very strong woman who was all in and gave up everything she had just to make sure that you were exonerated.
Yes, she did. She's an amazing woman.
Well, Mother's Day's coming up there, Brian, so make sure she's taken care of.
I most definitely will.
And
Thank you.
I did it. I'm rooting for you. I said at the time when I'm watching, it was emotional. It was emotional watching. And I hear it in your voice. But good luck in Atlanta.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, Dan. All
right. Brian Banks, an Atlanta Falcons linebacker. If you get a chance to watch Real Sports with Brian Gumbel, just watch him sitting there talking about this or talking to this woman who put him in prison at the age of 16. Going to be a registered sex offender. He's got an ankle bracelet on. One day, you committed to USC. Please show up and you're going to prison. And you know what hit me? You can't cry. Can't cry in prison.